Tonight, an alleged hijacking grounds flights at one of Canada's busiest airports. The dramatic takedown on the tarmac in Vancouver.
There were 9 flights that were inbound to YVR that were diverted to other aircraft.
And what we know about the suspect. A discovery after decades apart.
It doesn't go away. It's not going to just disappear. But, you're hurt for the rest of your life.
The pain and power of an emotional father-son reunion. Plus, how the Prime Minister is changing his messaging on trade talks.
I expect that the discussions will intensify between now and the end of the month.
What Mark Carney is admitting for the first time.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news out of British Columbia and 2 major questions police are asking. How and why someone commandeered a plane on Vancouver Island and then flew it to Vancouver International Airport, triggering a tense 39-minute ground stop for arrivals at the province's largest airport. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson is at that airport tonight. Andrew, why are police using the term hijacking?
Omar, this is the plane behind me. YVR says was spotted circling the airspace nearby while police were racing to the airport. Now, why this is being referred to as a hijacking is one of the big questions we're still trying to answer. This is the moment the flight in the stolen plane came to an end on the runway at Vancouver International Airport. That's where police made an arrest with multiple cruisers responding. An airport source tells us as the incident was unfolding and the plane was in the air near YVR, a man told air traffic control he had hijacked a Cessna 172. RCMP are also using the term alleged hijacking. But this is not a case where controls of a plane were taken over mid-flight or someone was taken hostage. When the plane landed, the pilot was alone. It remains unclear how the pilot gained access to the plane at the Victoria Flying Club and was able to take off. YVR says it is working to get passengers who were diverted to other airports to their proper destination.
We had some go to Calgary, to Edmonton, to Abbotsford, to Comox, and to Seattle. And we are working with those airports and with the airlines themselves to try and make sure we get passengers back on their ways.
Dozens of flights were also delayed and a handful were canceled. YVR says now everything is back to normal after a bizarre chain of events. The pilot's motive still unknown. Omar.
Andrew Johnson on that security scare in Vancouver tonight. Andrew, thank you. The mayor of one of Canada's largest city, Brampton, Ontario, is receiving round-the-clock police protection because of a death threat.
This is not the first time I've received a death threat. I did so a number of years ago. I'm sure it won't be the last, and it certainly won't change my approach.
Police confirmed the threat came from within Canada, but did not say why Patrick Brown was targeted, and that they're waiting to share more details to avoid jeopardizing the investigation. For the first time today, the Prime Minister admitted that trade talks with the United States likely will not result in a deal that lifts all American tariffs. The revelation emerging as Mark Carney convened his inner circle for a rare summer meeting. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello.
Staring down an August 1st deadline, today the Prime Minister convened a rare summer cabinet meeting to discuss U.S. President Donald Trump's latest 35% tariff threat.
I expect that the discussions will intensify between now and the end of the month.
With the goalposts moved again, Carney lowered expectations that a new deal would result in Trump dropping all tariffs, noting that so far no country has secured a tariff-free trade agreement with the U.S.
Certainly comes off as a bit of a wake-up call for.
It's an admission this lawyer, who used to litigate for Canada against the United States, says sends a clear signal to businesses.
If a baseline tariff does look like it's going to stick, then all of a sudden you can't operate in that environment forever, and you have to make real lasting decisions with respect to your customers and your suppliers.
While Canadian companies brace for the potential of longer-term American tariffs, south of the border, Trump today sounded more optimistic about how talks are going.
We're negotiating with Canada right now, and we'll see how that all works out. I think it's going to work out very well.
These developments come as fresh data suggests Canadians are split on their confidence in Carney delivering. New polling shows 63% of Canadians want the Prime Minister to take a harder line in negotiations, while 37% prefer a softer approach.
Domestic confidence is going to be important. Carney needs to feel like he has a mandate from the people of Canada.
Today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre accused Carney of conceding. The Prime Minister campaigned on taking Trump on with his elbows up, but since winning the election, even as the U.S. administration has ratcheted up the trade war, Canada hasn't retaliated. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thank you. The full impact of the trade war still isn't completely clear, but there was a new snapshot today on the cost of living for Canadians. And as CTV's Abigail Beeman reports, it's a mixed bag.
This family is not surprised to hear the cost of furniture has jumped.
Didn't want to spend a lot of money on real wood or anything right now, so IKEA was perfect.
Overall, new numbers from Statistics Canada show the Consumer Price Index rose 1.9% year over year in June, and that's up from 1.7% in May.
In general, it's good news because we are seeing inflation kind of stay below that 2% marker.
But important to note, when you take energy out of the equation, the number is much higher, 2.7%, and that's in part because of the removal of the carbon tax. Gas prices continue to be lower, though June's decline was smaller than May. Better news for your grocery bill. Food prices are increasing at a slower pace, largely driven by a decline in vegetable prices, specifically helped by cheaper onions and cucumbers.
If we didn't have two incomes coming in, we wouldn't be able to afford the life that we have.
Another standout category, car prices. Those are up 4.1%. And in the used car market, 1.7%. And that is the first year-over-year increase in 18 months.
Low supply, high demand, and used car prices have been going up.
Now to trade it in, I get good money for it, but the price of new vehicles is almost beyond reach.
A big question in all of this, the impact of the trade war with the U.S. Opinions are mixed, and Statistics Canada isn't saying much, with some economists saying it's too early to see the hit now. But buckle up.
If you're not frightened almost to death, then you haven't been paying attention.
And we are expecting to see Canada's economy shrink a little bit in this second quarter.
These numbers are the last look the Bank of Canada has at price data before the next interest rate decision coming July 30th. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
The number of measles cases in Alberta is continuing to cause concern as the province now has more confirmed cases than the entire United States. CTV's Kathy Lee on the measures hospitals are now resorting to treat patients.
A measles surge in Alberta forced hospitals like the Grey Nuns in Edmonton to triage patients in ambulances outside to prevent bringing the virus into the emergency room.
We have seen, dozens, unfortunately, of people requiring hospitalization. Measles is a serious infection. It is something that strains the healthcare system.
And it's expected in a few months, resources will be even more strained.
In addition to dealing with our standard, fall-winter respiratory viruses, we will be dealing with measles.
Alberta now has more than 1,300 confirmed cases of measles, the second province behind Ontario to surpass the United States.
In a matter of a few short months, Alberta has caught up to those confirmed cases.
The rapid spread because not enough people are immunized against the virus. Experts say 95% of the population needs to have full protection to achieve herd immunity. While immunization rates have increased in some parts of the province, there are others that are only at 50%. The province has a measles awareness campaign and expanded access to the vaccine in many communities, but medical experts say not enough was done.
It wasn't taken as seriously as it should have been. I think they felt that it would peter out, that it was isolated to certain communities, it would go away. It hasn't.
The government says the number of active cases has been stable for several weeks, and the measles transmission rate has slowed down, though there were 30 new cases diagnosed just last weekend.
The province says currently there are 3 patients in hospital for measles, and at no point have there been more than 4 in hospital at the same time being treated for the virus. The government says at this time it's not declaring a public health emergency, saying it's not warranted based on the current data. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
An out-of-control wildfire burning near Newfoundland's Chance Harbor has forced people to flee. This video shows the raging fire burning extremely close to picturesque cabins and destroying some of them after spreading to 12 square kilometers in size. The fire is moving northeast, which should take it away from other communities in the area.
staying here, but I know there's a lot of communities that are in trouble the same as us.
In Manitoba, people from Garden Hill First Nation arrived in Winnipeg after being forced from their homes. Other communities in northeast Manitoba are nervously watching as the flames inch closer. The province is still battling over 120 active fires, 6,000 people forced from their homes.
Wanted to use the first step, which is meant to communicate out that it's possible that it could happen in the coming days.
And in Saskatchewan, a wildfire in Prince Albert National Park is expected to keep spreading. Parks Canada says the fire, which covers almost 340 square kilometers, is out of control. Environment Canada is raising concerns about smoke, haze, and heat in parts of every province, although Saskatchewan is being hit with some particularly bad air quality today. Heading east, the concern turns to high temperatures, with heat warnings issued for parts of Ontario, Quebec, and the Atlantic provinces. From extreme heat this summer to extreme cold in the winters, you've probably noticed wild weather swings over the past few years because of climate change. That's putting major stress on Canada's power grid. And now there are warnings that in the next 5 to 10 years, half of North America's population, that's about 300 million people, could be at risk of blackouts. With more on the stakes and the solutions, here's the latest recipient of the Satchadina CTV News Fellowship, Rukhsar Ali.
Extreme weather events have left thousands of Canadians without power, sometimes for weeks, and climate change could make it worse.
The grid that we have today has not been designed for accommodating such extreme scenarios.
Between 2013 and 2023, Canada's 10 most significant weather events that impacted power grids caused about 20 million electricity interruptions to customers.
More shortfalls can occur during these extreme weather events, and it poses a serious concern for reliability.
A recent report from the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, found that most provinces were found to be increasingly vulnerable during extreme weather, putting them at risk of shortfalls. Nova Scotia, one of the most vulnerable.
We've had Hurricane Dorian, Hurricane Fiona, which is the biggest storm we've ever had in Nova Scotia. We had Hurricane Lee, we've had wildfires, floods, pretty much everything, and all of those have weakened the power system.
Utilities like this in the province are taking some future-proofing steps by swapping out older poles with stronger ones.
The lightning hits, and all of a sudden there is a short circuit.
At the University of Toronto's Grid Modernization Centre, Ali Hushiar and his team are running real-time simulations using super-powered computers to find solutions. One solution is smart technology. That includes sensors and software to communicate information along the grid, to make supply decisions faster and to minimize disruptions when the grid's under pressure. Climate change isn't the only factor putting pressure on the grid. So is increased demand, with more people using everything from electric vehicles to heat pumps.
We're going to need more wind, more solar, more hydro, more nuclear to be able to meet the challenges of the future.
And the artificial intelligence boom is another potential challenge. Massive amounts of electricity needed to run thousands of servers.
10 years ago, if we were told that 10 years later, one of your biggest challenges is going to be AI data centers, people would think that this is just science fiction.
The major challenge is meeting Canada's energy needs before the demand outpaces the progress. But with more frequent extreme weather events and more strain on the grid, that task, Omar, is becoming even more urgent.
All right, great reporting, Rukhsar, and congratulations on the fellowship.
Thank you.
Coming up.
You're going to tell him what it's all about, who I am and who he is.
Why a father and son are demanding answers after a shocking reunion. An adopted man's search for family and identity has led to a shocking revelation. The Okanagan man, with the help of social media, found his father living on Vancouver Island. But their joyous reunion also opened up decades-old wounds. CTV's Ben Milger has this CTV News exclusive about a father and son reconciling their relationship with a dark chapter in a residential school where it all began.
This was here at the hall, probably right over there.
Right here, yeah.
You were like, we need a first picture together.
Very early in life, Terry Chase's parents told him he was adopted.
Maybe 5, 6 years old. right? And so I always knew, when I was old enough to understand anyway.
After nearly 5 decades of searching, eventually a post shared on Facebook generated a lead on Vancouver Island. DNA results confirmed the match. At 54 years of age, Chase finally met Dorman Joseph, his biological father, who never knew he existed.
I'm very happy I can try and help Terry somehow with his life and be as close as we can.
Chase's long-form birth certificate includes his mother's name. He's never met Jane Peacock, but obviously his father has.
I was 14 and she was 21 years old. Yeah.
Was it a one-time thing or was it ongoing?
It was ongoing. Yeah, it wasn't just one time.
At the time, Joseph was a student at St. Michael's Indian Residential School in Alert Bay, and Peacock worked there supervising children. In 2006, Joseph sued the federal government and the Anglican Church for sexual assault. The case settled out of court. The school was demolished 10 years ago, but the emotional scars remain. Now armed with new information, Joseph and Chase have filed another lawsuit against the same defendants and Jane Peacock, seeking accountability for what happened at St. Mike's in the late 60s.
You don't hide nothing from nobody. You're going to tell them what it's all about, who I am and who he is.
In a brief statement, Indigenous Services Canada says it is committed to approaching the litigation in a respectful, compassionate, and fair manner. The Anglican Church of Canada did not respond to a request for comment. Jane Peacock's whereabouts are unknown. Despite the dark origins of their story, father and son are focused on writing a positive next chapter. For Chase, that means exploring his First Nations culture for the first time. He recalls the feast his family held the day he met his dad. And the powerful moment when his nephew sang and drummed in his honor.
I was in tears. I didn't know a single word of the song, but it was so powerful that I was blown away.
Chase and Joseph have a lifetime of catching up to do.
You can tell by his baby picture there that Joseph, at this photograph right here. He's part of our family. You can tell just by looking at it.
Circumstances kept them apart for decades, but this father and son are finally walking forward together. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still ahead.
It's been a long journey.
How the fight to save this flock landed in Ottawa. The fate of hundreds of ostriches living on a BC farm hinges on the outcome of a decision by the Federal Court of Appeal. CTV's Judy Trin is following the proceedings in Ottawa.
The fight to save these ostriches has moved from the countryside to the Federal Court of Appeal. Universal Ostrich Farm wants to overturn an order by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to cull its herd after an avian flu outbreak last December. The owners say the remaining birds have recovered.
We have almost 400 ostriches that are 182 days healthy today.
But virologists say H5N1 can remain in the birds without symptoms, and a mass culling is the most effective way to stamp out the virus and prevent spread.
Stop the virus roll of the dice, and we do that by stopping the virus whenever we can. Don't give it an opportunity to pass through animals. Don't give humans an opportunity to come into contact.
The court heard the CFIA made their decision in just 41 minutes after positive tests from 2 dead birds. 69 ostriches died in the outbreak. Not all were tested. The owners lost their previous legal challenge in May, but gained support from Donald Trump's administration. Medicare administrator and former TV host Mehmet Oz offered to provide sanctuary, while Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wrote a letter asking Canadian authorities to spare the birds so they can be studied.
We're a recovered flock. We offer so much more opportunity to Canada than we do live, than we do slaughtered.
The ostriches are also part of a COVID-19 antibody study. but the farm was denied a research exemption because of a lack of documentation. In a fight that has lasted more than 7 months, the appellate court says it needs more time to come to a decision.
It's been a long journey.
The farm owners say they're willing to take this case all the way up to the Supreme Court. They consider the Ostriches family members. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
A national funeral was held today in Quebec for Serge Fiori, solo artist and lead singer and guitarist for the rock band Harmonium, who was beloved in the province.
It unites francophone, anglophone. It's a music loved by everybody.
The moving ceremony at Montreal's Place des Arts, attended by thousands of fans, artists and politicians, reflected how Fiori's music is deeply embedded in the hearts of the people in Quebec. Fiori died last month at the age of 73. Still ahead, how this year's Emmys are already making history, even though the big awards show is still 2 months away. We leave you tonight with a nod to the Canadians who will have a starring role when the Emmy Awards are handed out later this year. The nominations were revealed today.
Who are all these people? I don't recognize any of them.
They're influencers. Most of them don't even go inside. They just make their red carpet TikToks and leave.
Catherine O'Hara and Seth Rogen are both nominated for their roles in the studio. Rogen was also one of the creators of the show, which had the most nominations for a comedy with 23.
You like a sentimental moment, especially if the liquor is good.
Rogen will be up against Martin Short, who got his 4th nomination for Only Murders in the Building, while Vancouver comedian Nathan Fielder received writing and directing nominations for his HBO show, The Rehearsal.
So we're not in trouble? I don't think so. Milchick said we're famous. All of us equally, or one of us is like the star?
The show with the most nominations is Severance, with 27, including Quebec City's Jessica Lee Gagné for Best Cinematography and Best Directing for Drama Series.
You promised me, Oswald.
I know, Ma.
I deserve a better life.
I'm working on it.
HBO's The Penguin came in 2nd with 24 nominations, and tied for 3rd with 23 nominations is The White Lotus.
Making a big mistake. He's only a kid.
Dad, I haven't done anything.
And 15-year-old British actor Owen Cooper made Emmys history, becoming the youngest ever nominee for Best Supporting Actor in a Limited Series for his role of teen murderer in the series Adolescence. Star Stephen Graham is up for Best Actor. And the awards will be held in Los Angeles on September 14th. That's a snapshot of this Tuesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.